All right, Coach Smith. I'm going to call you coach because you're a coach of coaches. You were a coach for a long time, and I love your perspective. We just had a great conversation on coaching and Division two leadership, and just so refreshing the way you see it and the way you're attacking this in a modern day athletics department. Let's jump into recruiting. I think D2 athletics is probably the most confusing for families. They're not quite sure what it is that, they hear D3 and they think academic focus, big time academics. They think of D1, they think of playing on ESPN, high level scholarship, playing at the highest level, and they're not quite sure what to do with Division two. Is there Are we to the point where it's more than just the kids that didn't make it at Division one and they had to come back?
Like a D1 kickback or
Yeah,
something.
let's take a kickback. And there's so many 17-year-olds right now that should be thinking, man, I am good enough to play Division one, but I want to play in that smaller gym. I want 3,000 people on top of me every time I play. I wanna be somewhere where I can be a student and an athlete. Where is that world for you? What really defines being that kid that belongs D2?
Yeah, I really think Division 2 is a high level. It truly is. I mean, we are competitive. You look at all the different Division 2 conferences, the RMAC, obviously a top conference. I think about the MIAA and GLVC, RIAC. I mean, they are some great conferences with some great schools and great student athletes that come out of it. Even student athletes that do still go to that next level. And so I think really Division 2 is a place where you can still get athletic scholarship, right? Sometimes we are able to offer fulls, not always here, but at other Division 2s, right? You can get full scholarship where everything's paid for. You can also get partial scholarship, which is also kind of nice. But we really try to strive for those, student athletes. You might get an athletic scholarship. We've got academic scholarships, other things that, students can apply for to be able to help with that. And so it truly brings this other layer of you're competing at a high level, you can receive athletic scholarship, and also, like, more than likely, you're going to play. If you are a student that may be good enough for Division One, but are you gonna be at the top end of a team or the bottom end and maybe not see the floor? I think that's something that's super important too, that you could come here and potentially, be a starter, get a lot of minutes. Something that we try to teach kids and show them all the time is that you'll come here and you make an impact. I think is also something that we try to sell.
Yeah. Do you almost have to be a renaissance woman or a renaissance man? Do you almost have to have that perspective? I wanna do it all. I want my academics to still be really important, being in the classroom. I wanna get that degree to go do something I wanna do for the rest of my life, but I also wanna play at a really high level. I remember when I transitioned Maryville University from D3 to D2, and we started playing D2, and first game, there was a seven-footer on the other team that just transferred from Iowa. And then the next game, the Big Ten player of the year, freshman player of the year transferred. And that's what we were seeing. Where's that at with you? Where is that at in today's world of D2?
Yeah, we will still see some transfers, especially from Division One because of roster limits, the way that they're handling scholarships and NIL and all of that. So we will still see that. And so what we try to do is just keep the playing. I think the nice thing about D2 is the playing field is still pretty level, right? Because there's not many D2 schools that have all this extra money that they're able to dump in, just like some of these D1s are. And so I think that's also something that makes Division Two, unique in a good place to be because we do have those students that can be at that higher level and may come back down. And then what we try to also focus on is with that, academic piece of it is do we have the right major you want? Is this something that you want to do? Like, where do you want to be? What do you want to do after sports? Because not everybody's going to the league. Not everyone's going pro. We know that because the statistics show us that. So really trying to show, again, it goes to that state about the academic, the athletics. We want to see that everything lines up for these students that are looking at our school.
I know you do a really great job of really letting your coaches be the boss and the CEO of their program. Is there any instruction that you're giving them and direction in terms of high school versus portal and local versus further away? Is there anything that you are hoping for when you look at a roster, like when you look at the women's basketball roster, which you're close to, or the cross
Mhm.
country roster, the football roster? Do you want to see 30 kids from Colorado, or do is where are those things for you where you're like, all right, coaches, let's try and get let's try and keep this model and while
Mhm.
build our rosters.
Yes and no. So it kind of also varies sport by sport because I would say that one, we're always going to try to look locally, right? Like if we've got a student athlete good enough to play a D2 in our own backyard, we want them, right? And so even if it is something you may not get them the first year, you build that relationship, you never know because with the portal, they might end up coming back. So we always try to hit there. We do try to hit Colorado hard because Colorado means that the parents can come watch the game. They can come down here and see their kids do what they love. So we do try to hit that hard. And then after that, it's very sport by sport in terms of like, all right, we go out west, we know we got Moby. We've got Arizona, California scholarships here. So we also try to hit those schools, those states very hard. And so really it's me kind of instilling that in our coaches like, yes, Colorado, we want to see that. We want to build some rosters around that, but knowing we're going to get some of those out of state kids as well. And really putting that trust in them, like, hey, you're going to use your scholarship dollars wisely also. Because you got to think in state student athlete is going to be a little bit cheaper than an out of state. When it comes to international, we do see that primarily with all the pipelines we have with our distance runners and track athletes here. We've got great soccer and soccer too. Yes. So we have got quite a bit with soccer. We've got those relationships, Ireland, Australia. There's all sorts of student athletes that come from over there. And so those are always really good to get them here as well because of this experience that they did and kind of broaden that as well.
Yeah. I was just down to another coach's practice in your league, and they had 3 kids from Australia, and I was like, "It's great for those 3 kids, but I think it's even better for the other 12 that get to experience that other culture and be a part of that melting pot," right? And
Mhm.
it's there's so much power that comes with having those people around you that you have to adapt to, and they have to adapt to you and what you learn from them. That's so cool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we learn a lot from our international student athletes. I think that yeah, I agree. It's one of the coolest things and just learning about their culture and
Yeah.
sometimes they'll say things and they we all just have those confused looks sometimes, but it's so cool to find that common ground. Listen
Yes.
where they came from and bring it here.
Love it. How do you guys attack the portal?
Mhm.
What is your relationship with the portal?
I would say it is still very sport by sport. So some coaches' philosophies are I'm gonna go very heavy freshman. Heavy freshman, maybe use the portal here and there to fill some kids in. We found that going all portal kids usually doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so I think unfortunately, some of it's kind of in that trial by fire or kind of trial and error, right? Where sometimes the portal is not always the most magical place that everybody is always out to make it, right? There are thousands and thousands of student athletes in that portal. And unfortunately, not a lot of them get picked up. And so what our coaches really try to do is make sure if we are hitting the portal, something to where one, we're being strategic with what spots we want to fill, right? I've got all these freshmen, but I need a couple of these spots to fill. So I'm going to go find some kids. But our coaches they're looking in the portal, but they're also going with the people that they know, like knowing the kids that come from good programs, the programs that they at least know of, or maybe know someone there. Because I think sometimes we found that when you see those kids in the portal and they've been at 3 or 4 other schools, I mean, that's usually a red flag for a lot of coaches, and that's not something that, there's definitely gonna be a reason there as to why they're not at multiple different schools, and we really want kids that are gonna come in here, be bought in, locked in, to everything that we are doing. So portal is it's one of those things where we have to accept it and we have to work with it because it's there, but it doesn't mean that it just drives every single thing.
Absolutely. Do you want to give some quick love to your compliance person just because it's
So, yeah.
hellish?
Yeah, no, they have yes, they do a great job on managing all of that because that's also not fun, and I think that it is really eye-opening to see how many kids go in there, and then, yeah, great point, all the compliance officers that are putting them in there, that's thousands of kids.
That's right. It's 2 ways. They got the kids coming in like, where's your transcripts? Where's your credits
Uh-huh.
here? How many credits do you have? How many years of experience do you really have?
That is where's your
Right?
all these things, and where'd you come from, and now we gotta go attack all of these different schools to figure it out. Yeah, no, it puts a lot more in our compliance.
I'm just putting it out there to your president that that person might need a little raise at the end of
Yeah.
the I want to talk a little bit about NIL. I hate
Mhm.
talking about NIL, but I'm just gonna to see where you guys are at with it. I know, especially the RMAC, and it's a big, big discussion. And it's not a lot of schools in the RMAC have even the money to even think about it, or the alumni to think about it. And so, just talk a little bit about the NIL, and then I want to get into stacking because I think stacking is really the important conversation for families to understand D2 and how stacking works. But start with NIL.
Yeah, so it's tough. It's really tough at this level. And I think NIL has a really people are only seeing like the top 1% NAL. And so everybody thinks that they can just go make millions of dollars just like that. And that's
Nice.
really not the case for really probably what 98% of the athletes of all divisions. And so what we try to do with NIL is we're very open and real about it. Like, right, hey, we do not right now we currently do not have any NIL. We've had some people show some interest. We're kind of dabbling in some things, but as of right now, we do not have that. What we do have is we were the I think actually the we were the first or second D2 school to sign on with Influxer when they first started. And so Influxer is a way that student athletes can sell their gear with their name on it. They like all sorts of different products, make some
Yeah.
money there. So that's really what we've done in this, kind of state of NIL. We are hearing it more and more at Division 2, at some certain schools where, hey, have you got this? And then I'll give you an extra, maybe 5 grand in NIL. So either way, it's not insane amounts of money. It's very small, very minuscule. And yeah, for our department, we're like, we don't have that revenue to be able to give back to the student athlete from where we're currently at, right? We could get to that someday, great. But as of right now, no. So we are trying to kind of get creative. What other options do we have? Because again, kind of like the portal, you can't just ignore it and they act like it's not there because it's
Right.
there. And student athletes see NIL, they see social media, they see everything. And that's something that I think is also putting in this kind of false perspective for some of our student athletes coming in. That's not how it works everywhere, just to make that clear.
I've had a couple of Division 1 athletes on the podcast, and they've been fantastic. And it's so interesting to me because I'm still the old man on the porch yelling at everybody to slow down.
Yeah.
I, and I, so I bring the kids on to kind of help me understand where the world is headed and where I need to accept it. And
Mhm.
I want to get into just social media with you a little bit with your student athletes. And we can go 100 different ways with this, but I want to talk a little bit comparing that to the NIL because a lot of these kids have opportunities at the D1 level where a company will say, "Hey, you got 20,000 followers. I want you drinking this while you're on social media." Are you talking to your kids about that? Is this the time where we have to have those discussions about how you use social media, how it can help you, but how it can greatly hurt you?
Yes, we do actually have that in place. Yes, because we do have a couple of our student athletes, more specifically, a lot of our runners, because they do compete at such a high level. They do have some of those kind of agreements. So we have a little bit of that. We give them education on it. We've also had people come in and talk to them about it, which has been super helpful. But the way that they're talking to them is also talking about like taxes and the things that come with when you make money and how that works. So that's been something that's huge. We've had a couple in that area with the social media. So I think very a lower level, but we do definitely have it. And we also have the processes in place that any sort of ask or anything, any contact that you get, you need to immediately report it to our compliance officer so that they can walk you through the proper steps and make sure we get it appropriately done.
Yeah, just give them something to do. They have nothing to do, those compliance people. So just
No, yeah.
call them
They're
about
not gonna
every
work.
time you get somebody that wants you to do something on social media. Give parents a piece of advice for that 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old about social media. Where do they need to be with social media? Where do I need to be with my daughter's social media?
Oh my God. Well, if you want my honest opinion, I hate social media. And I would
I
just,
do too. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I feel like people think that they need social media for them to get to the next level. And in my opinion, that is not at all the case.
I
Because what does social media do? It shows you all the good. I can put up this, real awesome highlight tape, but then you're missing maybe the under end of the floor, or all the turnovers you had, or all the things. So like we're so used to seeing all the good that I think that I would honestly say that coaches have come straight away from that social media because it's not giving you the full picture, full reflection of it. So I think on social medias, I think also you need to make sure you're representing yourself in a positive way. You don't want to see pictures of like, them doing things that our coaches would want our own student athletes to. And I think that when social media puts everything out there, you have to understand also that it doesn't just disappear. So you need to be very careful and very smart about what you're putting and know that social media is not going to be something that a coach is going to like want to recruit you on or not, right? Like it's just it's a piece that I think a lot of older people are just over. And I unfortunately, again, it's there and you can't get rid of it. But just making sure that kids understand like you are representing yourself whether you like it or not. So you better be very smart about how you do that.
How do your coaches feel about a kid coming to visit? We put them in the football uniform, we take a pretty picture of them, and we send it to them. How do your coaches feel about recruits posting a visit in that school's uniform? How do they feel about that?
That's actually super interesting because it is funny how media days and those kind of recruit visits have become such a big thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where, like, you can't be the school that doesn't, like, not do it, right? So, yeah, but when I look at it, I'm like, now I got my SID who's now worried about, like, if you look at our current athletes, the media days, getting all the good pictures out there so we can make the good graphic and do
Yeah.
that. And then you've got the recruits, which, yes, that is what I think because it's there, we have to kind of go with it, if I had to be honest. So I think that coaches have adapted to that very well in like, "Okay, we're gonna take a picture in the uniform. If you commit, great." And I think to the other side of it, okay, great, committed, going to Adams State, that actually is good for us. Hey, you're showing that you're going here, you're committed. What I will say, and this is probably a more personal thing, what I don't like on social media is when we have the, "Whoa, thanks, Adams State, but I decided to put myself in the transfer portal," or like how many times kids then decide to be like, going in the portal because in my opinion, that doesn't make you look good, and that's not
Oh,
if I was a coach, I just don't find that very attractive in who we're trying to recruit. And why do we have to put everything on there? I just
I don't understand. I'm going through this with a couple of kids I'm working with, and they've gone on 4 or 5 visits, and every time they put them in the coach puts them in the uniform, they take a picture, and then they post it. I'm like, "What do you want the other 4 coaches you visited to think that you're in the other school's uniform and you're posting it?"
also a good point, and
Yeah, I struggle with that so much, Caitlin. Help me get over that. Would you please?
I am not the right personality to deal with that because I think for me, I'm always like, what is the bigger life picture, right? So you talk about the portal, you talk about commitment, you talk about, hey, if you're in a job that you don't like, you don't just get to up and quit and then just go, right? So then it's kind of going to that. Like if I'm an employer and I see I'm trying to hire this person and they've got a hand in all these different things, it's like, what makes you ever want us? You know? So I always try to put it in that perspective, and then it probably makes me even more like, oh, it's not a good rabbit hole to go down.
But it's such a good perspective. I'm interviewing for 5 jobs, and every time I interview, I post on social media. I had a great interview at, you know, well, you gotta expect that the other people interviewing are gonna look,
We're gonna feel, yeah,
I
really good.
guess we're not getting that person, or do I really want that person? You know?
Yep, I cannot agree more.
I just cannot get it. I'm trying my darndest. I've come around on the portal. I've come around on NIL, but
Mhm.
there's some of these things on social media I can't get there. All right, 3 things before I let you go. You've given us great time today. Walk the average family through how stacking works at Division II in terms of you got academic money, you've got
Mhm.
institutional money. We might give you some athletic scholarship. You talked about we don't always have full rides for our kids, but with stacking, we can get you there sometimes, right? If your grades are real good. Talk about how that works and kind of how you sell that, your coaches sell that when they're recruiting.
Yeah, one really great thing about Vision 2 and being on a small campus, especially like here, is you can literally go down to financial aid and they actually help you put together a cost summary sheet. And so you can walk out of here, have something in writing that shows how we kind of stack everything up, right? And so looking at, yeah, academic scholarship, if you have this GPA, this is what you're looking at here. If you're a junior, senior transfer, we also offer some additional room waivers from the university side. California, Arizona, if you're from one of those states, you get in a little bit extra money there. And so what we try to do is we print off these sheets that are directly from our financial aid office, and they're able to help package those together. One big thing that I could not stress enough is do your FAFSA. It is really difficult for us to provide accurate information when we don't have that because in quite not everything we guesstimate, right? Things can change, but the FAFSA will also help. So if you're a Pell student athlete, for example, that Pell will then help lower that cost down. We just won't know that until we have that FAFSA done. So if anything, get your FAFSA done because that helps everybody get you to that number a lot quicker. But yeah, definitely something there.
Put your college basketball coach hat on. I'm going to lead you here for a second.
Mhm.
You got 2 6-foot centers you love. One has got a 3.8, one's got a 3.2. You love them both. Same athleticism, same physicality, almost twins, but the difference is the GPA. Who do you offer?
Probably the higher GPA is the big
Why, Caitlin? Tell these kids why.
Well, here's the thing, a 3.2 GPA is still great, like, just
It is.
remember, you got yeah,
It
it's
is.
eligibility, you would still be eligible there, but I do think we take the academic side very seriously because we want a student that can show that they can keep their grades up, because we don't wanna come to a point where we can't have you because you're ineligible. And so grades are so, so important. And then maintaining those grades are something that we really try to look for because again, if you're not eligible, what are we doing then? Right?
Yeah.
We want you, we're bringing you here to play. We need you to play.
What's the difference in academic scholarship that the school's given that kid between the 3.8 and the 3.2 at Adams State? We talking 6 to 10, 15,000?
It's not that much. It's a couple thousand though, for sure. I would have to like dig that up. But yeah, our academic scholarships, there is a big difference there. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that much. So
The better the grades, the more money you're getting, right?
exactly, just how it works at every school, I would say.
And the more money you're getting from the school, the less money the coach has to give
That
you,
we're
right?
having to stretch on our end to then and then you're counting towards equivalent fees, and then you're counting towards, that overall scholarship dollar, so our coaches are always trying to stretch those dollars as
Yeah.
much as we can.
So the better the student you are now, if I recruit you, you're saving me money now. Now I can go out and maybe get another player and I have a little bit more money to give that next player because you
Yeah,
got more academic money.
exactly.
I try and get parents to understand that. Do you really care what the out of pocket, how you get to the out of pocket, or do you care what the out of pocket is?
Are you talking about from a parent standpoint?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like a parent said they want a bottom line, not bottom number. They just
I talk to so many parents that they want that athletic scholarship. They want that 20,000 academic money. Well, what if it's 10,000 in athletic and 10,000 academic? Does it matter?
yeah, no, and I think that is something why our cost summary sheets are so great because literally it's like they can have the paper and they're just gonna look at that bottom number. What
Like,
am I paying? So that is kind of the way we've operated. It's getting to that bottom line number for them. And then yeah, hey, you're gonna have and again, D2, you're able to parse out the scholarships, right? So you can give a kid, 2,000 up to 20,000 or whatever. So it's just like we're able to have that, which I think is something also special because we also have our student athletes. We try to tell them we have something called Scholarship Universe. So where our student athletes can, or all students, go in and apply for scholarships. Because we also try to encourage that, like, hey, you want more money on your account? You got to go kind of earn it and get it.
love it. One piece of advice to that 16, 17-year-old that wants to play Division II, wants to play at Adams State, how would you how would you advise them to go about making contact with your coaches?
Yeah, I am all about reach out. Reach out to the coaches, send them an email, get that relationship started. I will say I know parents, want to be involved and I think parents should be involved. However, I think it is so important for the student athlete to reach out on their own because they are going to be the one that is here when they turn 18, they are an adult and they are going to have to handle things on their own. And I think that's also something that coaches see is like I want the student athletes that are going to come here and handle their business and we don't need, mom and dad to do all these other things for them, right? And so it's very important that the students take that initiative, show that they can one, write a drafted email, not a DM, not whatever message. I don't even know what else is out there. Let's see an email that you can craft and draft appropriately to set up a time to meet with coach. And then let's come visit. And I think it is important that parents come on that visit because they're obviously trusting us with their kids, so they do need to be involved. And then I think it's also that student is showing that when mom and dad leave, I'm able to handle this on my own and really be an adult and grow into, a great human being.
That's right. Well, you answered both questions. You gave advice to the student athlete and you gave advice to mom and
Mhm.
dad. Be
Yeah.
let them drive it, and be
Yep.
authentic. Tell the coaches why you're interested in them, why they should be interested in you. Keep it simple.
Yep.
Make it easy for them. So, Katelyn, fantastic. Again, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being the leader you are and the representative of our state and athletics in our state. So, we'll be cheering for you. And if I can ever help you or your coaches in any way, don't be afraid to ask.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. I can't end without a go Grizzlies.